Hi, good evening. Yeah, it's 16:41 hours here. It's Friday in East African time. And so, yeah, I hope this finds you well and that the Lord has been keeping you. I just thought I should just, do this few minutes devotional moment, just going through the book of Psalms. I studied yesterday. We looked at the first chapter, What Delights You, and we looked at it. And I hope you can find time to watch it if you haven't. But you know, it's all about from inside outside what delights us, and the word talks about how blessed a person who delights in the word of God, who is captivated by it, who thinks about it, who is excited by it, and who revolves around the word of God, who lets the word of God be the central part of his life and the determinant of the decisions and everything that he is or becomes. So today I just want to quickly share a verse. So we're gonna move to Psalm chapter 3, and I'll go straight to verse 3. I'm using the NLT version of the okay, I know you might not see that very much, but anyways, okay, I don't even know if there was any essence of doing that, but so it says, "But you, O Lord, are a shield around me. You're my glory, the one who holds my head high." So this line is David's prayer when he fled from his son Absalom. Absalom was his son, but he overthrew him. David was king, and then Absalom was one of his sons, and there was a conflict, and he took over the throne. So David became captive, in his own kingdom and by his own son. So him and his army were, like gotten rid of. So here he's like having, he's having no help. Like, he's a warrior. But how do you go back and attack your own son, and your son, your power and everything is taken over. So something like that. So he looks to God as as his source of of protection. So he says, "You, O Lord, are a shield around me." Um, I look at it in terms of, when I think of a shield, it's something that, people go to war. These people are people who go to battle and they fight and stuff like that. So, they would have whatever, the arrows, whatever that they had to attack, and the clubs, the arrow, whatever, and then they had something of defense. So that is, the shield, whatever that protected them. So he surrenders to God. He does not look at his own strength, at his own physical shield. He is defenseless. So he looks to God as the shield around him. It's a sign of surrender. It's a sign of looking at God as our protector, as our our shield, you know. So I hope this, gets to be your prayer. This guy was a war guy, a battle guy. We might not be that much, He was king. He had tactics, he had connections, but he surrendered and looked at God as the shield. How much more, you need God as your shield, because really you might be not even knowing a thing or two about protecting yourself. And sometimes we really think we're pros. We have guards, we have security systems, the CCTV, you have paid a lot of money, and maybe you try to protect yourself, like this time of Corona and everything. We try to do sanitizers, social distancing, and so much, but it's good. It's very good if it's within your capacity. But I'm telling you, if God could just open your eyes for a single second to just see how much of the battles that He fights for you, because He's your shield. And He's not a shield on one side. Most times we put the shield at the front because that's where the attackers mostly comes. But for God, David said, "Oh Lord, you are a shield around me." That means it's like you are a tiny thing around a ball. So, a ball is something that is round. So with God's protection, it's like 360 degrees protection. It's not one sided. It's not just on my head. A helmet, you put on a helmet, you put it on. No, it's all round. So look at God as that person, and he says with assurance that you're my shield around me. So tell God every day when you want to go out, when you go in, whatever you are, surrender to him. Tell him, you're my shield around me. He is your cover. He is your eyes from behind. He's your eyes from inside. He tells you if there's danger, he protects you. He's your cover. So don't overlook. Don't help God do his job. His job is to be your shield. Don't be your own shield, because you really can't, because you only got two eyes. You really can't. But God is omnipresent. He's got it all. He's all powerful. He's almighty. So look to him as a shield. Surrender to him. Tell him that, Daddy, you're a shield around me, and I'm surrendering to you. You might have kids, you might have properties, you might have your lover, your valuable possessions, your job. How do you protect it all on your own? You really can't. You can only do so much. So the only thing you got to do is ask God to be your shield. So I pray and that this manifests in your life, because the word, you have to see the word, you have to read it, and you have to internalize it. That's how we delight in the word of God. You can't say something that you don't even know it exists. Like, people just pray for God's protection, but they don't even know if it's in the word of God, that God promises his protection. That in the word, David proclaims that the Lord is a shield around us. So by this verse, if that's all that could be powerful of a prayer than anything. So just tell God, you know what, I give to you my all. You're my shield. So I hope that adds to your prayer list, from last session on what delights you, the word of God. Pray to God for his word to delight in you. Today, you've learned something about God's protection. He's a shield around. So talk to God about it. I hope this blesses you. It's a Good Friday. We are commemorating, the sufferings of Christ. And yeah, I hope it means something to you. For me, Christ is risen every day. I celebrate him every day. He passed death. He resurrected. He's alive. He's everything. In him I live, I move, and have my being. And so, but when I'm taken aback, I love to read. Recently, I've been reading the Gospels of Christ, the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And whenever I read about it, I love his story and the whole process. Let it be a reminder of the sacrifice that Jesus made for you, for the whole world. It's like, it is finished. So if he said it's finished, it's finished. And sometimes when we go through the sufferings of Christ, we just feel how much of victorious people we are, and how much of how great of a price, that we are, how valuable we are. He says he purchased us with a great price. So we are so valuable before God's eyes and Christ's eyes. Don't mess that up. Don't give the devil a chance to mess you up, because you're so precious before God and before Christ, because he did so much just to have you pure, to have you forgiven, to have you peaceful, to have you to have you free, And so I hope when you know this truth, it will really set you free from the bondage of the devil, and it will want you to live more of Christ-like. All right, bye-bye for now. God bless you. Till then, much love. Bye-bye.